This is a J.Bin Genex Samurai. These were made, I think, 3 to 4 years ago, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, somewhere in there. Pretty, obscure maker out of China. Really cool designs. When these came out, I believe, you had to sign up for a drop, and there's like 30 to 50 of them made in total. And I don't think any have been made since then. I picked this up on the secondary market some time ago, and I was just really drawn to the design, and then the quality also looked really neat when I was checking out the photos. Overall, I really like it. The quality is extraordinarily high when it comes just to the machining, and the blade, is hand sanded by J.Bin himself, and this is really a unique blade in that it's Vanex, which you don't see too much of on something like this. Some things to note on it. As you can tell, there's some design cues that I think are taken from some American makers that are really well known. Like the blade itself looks like kind of like a John Barker. And then, the pivot design, is kind of giving me Rexford vibes a little bit. And, because of that, it just kind of really stands out in a good way for me. The action on it, we'll zoom out here just a little bit, is really nice. It's got a nice, snappy detent. Let's see if I can get it. I'm going to go kind of as slow as I can. You can't really get it to fail. It's got a very clean detent. I don't know how to describe it, but it's one of the cleaner ones I felt on a flipper, in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and set it down on the show side so you can see the clip side. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Boom. Kind of pull this up. As you can see, it's got a unique pivot screw there, and the tool comes with it, so that's nice, right? Sometimes, like on some of these makers who have custom pivots, they look really cool, and it's actually something I prefer, especially on a custom knife. But they don't give you a tool, and sometimes they'll sell the tool, but then it's a huge amount of money, or they won't sell you a tool and they say send it in, you send it in, and it'll, you know what I mean. It just turns into this circle jerk of madness, just trying to take the pivot off. Well, J.Bin gives you a tool, so that's neat. The scale material here is this TI, and then you got Damascus pivots here, and then, or pivot collars, and then the pivot, I'm sure, is TI there as well. Feel in the hand is excellent. That being said, for some reason, and this is probably just me, I do feel like I just want to come up a little bit more. And if I do come up a little bit more, you hit this. So maybe for me, it is like pretty much perfect, I guess. I just wish, my gut tells me I wish I could just come up, it was just a little bit bigger. But overall, it feels great. And then let's check out the spine here. Look at that work. Here, I'm gonna set it down, see if I can get it. I'll hold the blade up here so it doesn't fall over, and then zoom in on that. I mean, you guys can check out the work on that. I mean, everything's chamfered, no sharp edges, and just really, really nice. The flipper tabs, not pokey. Sometimes what I don't like on my Herman Sting, the one thing I didn't like about that knife is the flipper tab was really, really pokey. I mean, when you spend this type of money, I guess, like on a Herman or some of these other ones, you do tend to look at those fine details just because, hey, you're spending the money. So, something like that you'd think wouldn't be overlooked, but in my opinion, on that particular knife it was. However, on this one, I think he did a great job with it. So not to worry there. What else? Look at the grind on this thing. I'll try to get it to where the light hits it in different ways. Pretty wild. Now, the one thing I don't really like on it is the clip's really stiff, and that might be something that you could, overcome a little bit or have it bent out. But in my opinion, too stiff for just out of the box. I don't like to see it like that. But other than that, it's a real solid knife. And then if you look at this here, it's well centered. And I kind of like what I think Holt does this, where they put the backspacer, right? It comes up and then creates that notch V there. So it really accentuates the fact that it's either on the money or it's not. There's no tricking someone's eye. The back of the blade here for the jimping, you could go ahead and argue there is no jimping there. That's not helping your finger at all as far as grip goes. So it's just the design. I think having that there is the design's cool and all. I'll try to zoom in on that just a little bit. I'll try to, try to turn it a little bit so you guys can see. Yeah, this isn't going to provide you with anything, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get your thumb on that, and if you're sweaty, you're gonna slide right forward. So I think that's something that, a little bit of a dig there, right? Like maybe some sort of unique way of doing those circles, but then to where they're grippy too, provided a bit more traction. I think that would have been nice. But other than that, it's obviously a really unique blade. You don't see many of these come on to the market at all. And if you do see one and you like it, pick it up, because you can pay attention to all the social, media or all the different outlets. The chances of you seeing one come across, you might see one every 2 to 3 months, and that would be if you're lucky. Let's see, I'll pull out. Here's a large Sabenza. Zoom out just a little bit more here. And here's a Strider PT, so the small guy. Gives you an idea there on size. So it's probably the grip is a little bit smaller than the Chris Reeve Sabenza 21. And I think if it was the size, or just about the size of the 21, it might be perfect. At least for me, because like I said earlier, I'd like to be able to get my hand up a bit further on it if possible. Even the Strider PT with the frame being much smaller, you can almost see, or if you bring this line all the way up, it's similar if you include the blade choil there, right? And this provides you, you can get up there on it, right? And you just can't do that with this one. Anyway, it's just being picky, but it's kind of what I want to do here is just provide you guys with the good feedback and what in my opinion, things that can be improved upon. But overall, I didn't really get that knife, this one here, for it to be the perfect daily carry, if that makes sense. I just thought it was wicked cool when I saw it. Not something you see. The design, quality, and the rest of it, you don't really see this too much. I don't know if I mentioned this in the beginning of the video, but I think his OEM for this was Reet, and then he hand finished the blades himself, hand satin blade, and Yeah, but I do think REIT was the OEM on that. I could be wrong about that. There isn't a whole lot of information, but I do believe that's what I read. If someone knows more, they can put it in the comments. Yeah, anyways, cool knife. Wanted to share it with you guys. Take care.